welcome back to the Time for Heroes podcast.
On the podcast today, I have Pearce McMenamin of the Claws Birmingham band, who are releasing their new album next week, Victim of a Casual Thing. Class album. I've been listening to it for a good couple of weeks now, and it's fucking banging. But what I'm going to do, we're going to talk about all that, but what I like to do to start, Pearce, is go right back to the start, what life is like for you and the rest of the boys growing up as young lads in Birmingham.
Well, yeah, I mean, like we've been in this band really, like if you want to, pinpoint the exact moment of origin, myself, Johnny and Niall, all met in secondary school, somewhere just on the outskirts of Birmingham, and found each other in a empty music room one day and started just playing tunes together. So, you could say that like the Claws really started then, although quite informally at that time. But since then, like we met Liam just shortly after we left school, and even for a couple of years after that, it was still quite just a little thing messing about, trying to put little gigs on for our mates. But it's been a long time, and kind of a staple point of this record is that it's like, for us, it's the soundtrack of like four young mates growing up from boys into men together, and I think you can hear that through the record.
Basically, as you said, for 2015 up until the now, the work that you have put in to get to where you are is absolutely phenomenal. At the start, like when you were starting out, what was your ambitions and what was your influences?
Ambition-wise, when we started out, it was nothing more than, being able to put on a couple of gigs in and around our hometown for just our mates, really, to, give everyone an excuse for a piss up in the most part of it. That was the only purpose of that. It kind of got a little bit more serious. We, found out that we could an opportunity to take, but it's taken us to places that we never imagined we'd go to, onto stage that we never imagined we'd ever be on. But our collective dream's always been, that one day we'll release a debut album, and next Friday, like it's going to be here and it's going to be out in the world. But our ambitions aren't really like limited. There's no ceiling on it. We don't really hide the fact that we want to be like the biggest band in the country, like as big as we can. We want to stretch out into the internationally as well. That's if we kind of think, if you're not in it to to strive for that, then not really sure what drives you, because that's what drives us. But in terms of influence, like it's kind of just, this album does what it says on the tin. Like we're great lovers of good British indie rock and roll music, like through the like Oasis, Kasabian, Arctic Monkeys. Like those are all bands that were in and amongst the first physical CDs that we ever owned, and they're the reasons why we picked up a guitar. So we've kind of taken years to kind of find out our sound and craft who we are. But on this album, I think you really hear us going back to our roots and what makes us really. And there is an element of like I think in the record you can probably hear like almost our youth kind of shine through, and those bands that like shaped our teenage years and the records we held dear when coming of age.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what I go for, I go to Kasabian, I go to Arctic Monkeys, I get a bit of Catfish, and there was another influence, like a kind of newer band, they're not gone now, but you played with them a couple of times, the Blinders. I heard elements of that in it as well.
Oh, right, yeah. We're big fans of them. They were coming. They came around just as we kind of started.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we supported them a couple of times and always like had a massive respect for what they did. They were, you know, at their peak, they were brilliant, and yeah, so yeah, it's nice to hear a comparison there. It's not one I've actually heard before. So
It was particularly on one of the new songs on the album, White Lifeline. It kind of sounds a bit blind, does it, at the start, and then goes a bit Arctic Monkeys.
yeah, well, I think you're probably spot on with that. I've never kind of heard it in that way in relation to the Blinders before, but it's one of the moodier tracks on the album. It was definitely inspired by Arctic Monkeys' second album. That particular song. But yeah, it's you're probably right. It is very in relation to the Blinders.
So, kind of coming from Birmingham, what is the scene like there, and what was the scene like starting it, and has it evolved kind of with yourselves being kind of the rise of yourself? Has it that helped the Birmingham scene evolve? Would you say?
Yeah, I think there's when you look at like them in relation to music in the UK landscape, like when people talk about big hubs of music, they probably go to London, to Manchester, to Liverpool and Glasgow up in Scotland. And despite the fact that there's so many like great artists that have come through from Birmingham, like ELO, Sabbath, the Streets, Duran Duran, like the list is endless. Like nobody really ever kind of reveres Birmingham as being like a real central hub for music, and Birmingham in itself like doesn't really do enough to celebrate that thing. So I mean, for us, a big goal of what we tried to do, and one of our first ambitions was, through the band and through our tunes, we wanted to put our city on the map and like give Birmingham a reason to kind of love itself again. So if we can do anything to kind of bring that eventuality around, then it's a bonus. But you don't really have to dig hard beneath the surface to find some of the talent that's in Brum. There's so many artists that don't see the light of day, and there's artists over the past decade that have come and gone without receiving what was due to them and their talent. So it's a massive thing championing our hometown for us, because it means so much to us, and ultimately like it's Birmingham is the reason that this record exists. So yeah, we pay quite a lot of homage to that in the songs.
And starting it, obviously, kind of started out in 2015, couple of singles out, gigging kind of locally, and then you get Pigeon Detective support slot. Would you say that was kind of like the big live breakthrough for you?
It's hard to like pinpoint that, really. I mean, back in like 2015, we were like 15 years old then. Like we were very much just children, trying to have a little bit of crack, and we weren't really taking things too seriously at all, as previously mentioned. So yeah, I think we had to work and really fight for any kind of opportunity in the early days of the band. And I think when we supported the Pigeon Detectives in Birmingham at a venue called the O2 Institute for the first time, that felt like the first big gig we'd ever had. And it made it even better by supporting a band that are another one of the bands that got us started. And I think that tour was probably our first breakthrough onto bigger stages, and things like that. So that's even a while ago now. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. As when you think about the journey, for that's 10 years, man. Like before you release the album, so it's a long time for you to grow. The following year, obviously, you played the Record Factory in Glasgow a couple of times. I always pick out the Scottish states because obviously I'm up here. So I think one of them was with Kyle Faulkner, a DJ set with him as well.
Yeah.
And obviously that year as well, you were getting early support for Gig Sluts and This Feeling. So This Feeling have been there basically all the way through your career. So how kind of integral is the support and the opportunities you get for This Feeling?
It's hard to describe really, because they do so much for, to bring bands through, and without them, like, who is there really? Who's doing that graft and that job? Like, they're, responsible for so much that's happened in and around our band. They were the first promoters to give us our first ever major festival. We've done countless amount of gigs with them. Worked closely with Mikey for years in trying to build this band to what it is. Like, I think to not just us, but like to the music industry as a whole. Like, there's such a big gap between making it in the industry and where bands start out. And for some bands who've got real clear talent from the beginning, might get picked up by a label really early and thrust straight into the limelight, or have that financial backing. But for the vast majority of like young artists in the UK now, like, you've got to go at it by yourself and make things happen for yourself. So as good as that is, and as fun as that can be, it would be absolutely impossible without an institution like This Feeling. Like, there just wouldn't be half the bands that are on the circuit now have come through This Feeling and wouldn't exist without them. So I kind of dread to think what the industry would look like without an organisation like them and Mikey and all the great people who run it. Because they're the kind of they're the institution that's gonna maybe bring around your next Oasis, your next Verve, your next Arctic Monkeys. I feel like it's gonna come from grassroots bands and from real people singing about real things. And the only place you'll find them is at little grassroots independent venues, and most of the gigs there are run by Mikey and This Feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I speak about him quite a bit in the podcast, and nobody's ever got a bad word to say about him. I've tried to get him on the podcast as well, but the guy's so busy.
Oh man, yeah, he lives a mad life. He's constantly on the move, so he's hard to pin down. But he's a good guy. He's a very good guy.
Yeah, he's the sort of guy you want in your corner. The year after that, you done your debut headline tour. 4 dates, all sold out. Sheffield, Manchester, hometown, Birmingham, and Glasgow. You played broadcast. Looking through all your Glasgow dates throughout your career, you must have played nearly every venue in Glasgow. That must be like a wee second home for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, my half my family are from Glasgow. My mum was born in the Gorbals. So that is actually a second home to me.
Right.
So yeah, I feel very comfortable up there, and like, we've been lucky enough to always have a really strong Scottish fan base, and particularly in Glasgow as well. So yeah, as you say, we've done pretty much every venue there, and now we're doing St Luke's on this run this year after just coming off the back of a sellout at King Tut. So yeah, it's a big jump, man. But yeah, we absolutely love playing in Scotland. Like, it's such a great hub for music.
If you're up in the Gorbals, I'm sure you must have been in the Brazenhead at some point.
I have been, yeah. Yeah, my godfather took me for a drink in there the one time. It's a great little boozer.
And that year as well, so you had you done support for the Pale White. I've had them on the podcast. You done support for the Blinders, and as you touched on festivals, you done Isle of Wight, Truck, and Why Not. And then towards the end of the year, you brought it In My Element, which, listening to that, is kind of, you can tell as well with that's taking it to the next level.
Yeah, man.
So
Yeah.
to bring that out and then no long after that, kind of COVID comes. So does that kind of scupper you at that point? Because obviously you've released a banger, and I'd imagine ready to kick on, and then COVID appears and fucking ruins everything for everybody.
Yeah, it was kind of it was a precarious time for us. Like just after we kind of in my element kind of launched us, into the wider industry a little bit, and it's kind of when we had to kind of start taking this seriously because we weren't before that. But yeah, when COVID came, it was gutting, man. It was like kind of it was like the world did completely stop, but it was like someone just put the brakes on, and after COVID, we had to really pick ourselves up, and yeah, it was a tough old period, but we've made of a we kind of had to be made of sterner stuff, us because we do everything completely independently and by ourselves, so we had to kind of fight back, but it's probably the best thing that ever happened to us, really, even though it was a tough time because it's put us where we are today.
Mm-hmm. Did it give you time to kind of look at new material, new directions, anything like that?
Yeah, it did. It gave us a chance to grow up more than anything,
Mm.
and realise and figure out kind of what band we wanted to be, which was the main thing.
So, 2021, just as COVID was dissipating, Time of Our Lives came out in the March, and then towards the end of the year, Cruella came out. Obviously, all the festivals were coming back then. It was kind of like late October time, all the festivals, Neighbourhood, Truck, Isle of Wight again. Um, Hunters More Supports as well, Pigeon Detectives again, Slow Readers Club, DMAs, Tom Clark, and the Snuts. So obviously picking out like the Snuts, what was it like playing with them?
Oh, it was great. I think that was around the time of their first album. It was just after they broke. We only did kind of one spot gig with them in Birmingham, which was we'd have loved to have done more, because they're a band that we really respect. That their first the first three, is it three albums they've done now?
Yeah.
Yeah, those three albums, like, I just think they've just got better each time, and their first album especially, obviously, has got so many great indie songs on it. It was really good to share the stage with them at that point in time. Hopefully, we'll get a chance again at some point. You never know, but yeah, we were lucky to have played with a good few bands that we revere in the industry.
And what about Tom Clark? Because obviously you've done some enemy ones, you've done some of his solo ones. So obviously with him being kind of a local guy, what's it like kind of supporting somebody like that that's been there and done it?
Yeah, do you know what? Like, I go back to kind of what I was saying earlier. Like, they're another band, the Enemy, that you know we wouldn't be here without them. I think we found a set list from the first gig we ever did, just after we left school, and I think we covered two Enemy songs on the gig. So yeah, he actually records. Well, the Enemy record in the same studio with the same producer that we do. So we're lucky enough to have met him a couple of times and to have gigged with him, and we got a show with him in November as well. So yeah, they're just a wicked band, man, and like they don't make them like that anymore. Do you know what I mean? Don't make them like that sort of band anymore. So we're hoping to try and bring that back a little bit.
And which is that Vader Studios? Is that I've seen that coming up on your Instagram quite a lot.
Yeah. It's Vader Studios.
Because
That's where we do all our stuff.
I was I'm on the Snuts Patreon, and I was watching them last night. And they were talking about one of their songs for that first album. They recorded it, didn't they, in Vader?
Yeah. They did. It's a great little spot, man. It's just on the outskirts of Brum, in a little town called Ulster. Well, it's a little bit outside of Birmingham actually, but yeah, it's a proper little place. We've recorded there for like 6 years. So
2022, another headline tour, 17 dates this time, so you can see you're kind of ramping it up. Like if you look at your debut one, 4 dates, and then you're up to 17 dates. More big supports again. Obviously, I mentioned the Enemy, Mystery Jets, the Twang, another local band, and Ocean Colour Scene, one of the big ones. So again, another kind of local one that I'd imagine you were, if you're into Oasis, I'd imagine you were into them at the time as well. And then the Rayton support, and you ended up playing the Barrowlands with them. So what was that like, playing the Barrowlands, an iconic venue, a place that I've been to many a time? What's it like backstage in there?
It's you know what? It's always kind of been on my bucket list to play there, and more so to one day we'll headline there, speaking it into existence. But yeah, it's just a wicked venue, man. I remember hearing stories off my dad about like when he used to go up to Glasgow, he'd always go into the Barrows and how good it was, and like it doesn't disappoint. It's I think it's probably one of the best venues in the UK. It's definitely up there. I remember the first time seeing it was that live show that Oasis did there. The live recorded one.
Yeah, so you get it on Sky Arts every couple of months.
It's always on fucking Sky Arts, isn't it? And that's the first time I would have seen it. Would have been on Sky Arts, and I was just like, "Wow, that looks like a motive. One day we'll play there." So it's just a great venue, man. Like it's full of, you can feel it when you walk in there. Like the walls are kind of like soaked in the history of everybody who's been and come through there, and all the big nights that have happened there. So yeah, it's one of those places.
I've never seen a bad gig in it.
Nah, I don't think it's possible. If you have a bad gig in there, then there's something fucking wrong with you. Like, because it's just a fucking great venue.
And I says obviously like ramping things up, obviously 2022, and then going into 2023. You done your debut EP. So an EP out 2023, an EP out 2024, and then the album out this year. So back then in 2023, was that kind of the plan? Were you already putting the plans in motion for the album?
Yeah, I think it was kind of after we came out of COVID, as we mentioned earlier, like the 2 years that followed that, or well, the year that followed that in 22 was quite difficult. It was quite a difficult one. The band with the other one. Yeah, it's all right, mate. No worries. Yeah, it was quite a difficult year for us. Like, we were kind of a little bit lost in what we wanted to do, what we wanted to write, and that, and like we didn't really know where we were going. And we kind of had to, sit down and figure out who we were and who we wanted to be. So we decided then that over the next 3 years we were going to release 2 EPs and then followed up by an album this year, and we just, from that moment, we just put everything into it. And we always said, like, from when we started the band, like, we didn't really care where it took us, like, but we were always going to take it to a debut album and like make our mark on the world and put something out, and like, as this is who we were, and this is us. So yeah. And now on the next Friday we're at the end of that. But I don't think then when we planned that, I don't think we thought we'd be in this position and come as far as we have to this point, and be on the eve of the album in this fashion.
Yeah, I think it does come down to the planning, because you have got it down to a T now, where it's like start of the year tour, bring out your first single, bring out another single in festival time, another single maybe the end of festivals, and then culminate the EP and then do a tour at the end of the year. And you've done that, basically that model, the last 2023 and 2024, and then that kind of gives you that fan base up and down the country to then bring out the album. So Have you got any backing? Like, have you got management in that deciding that, or are you doing all this yourself?
It's we've got our manager who's been with us since we were kids. He's just a close friend of ours who's ran us for years and has looked after us really well. But other than that, we've just got a really small team. It's predominantly ran by the four of us in all the decision making. And we've got a couple of lads, our content creator, Luke Jones, who does everything with the music and stuff. And as we've grown over the years, a lot of our mates have joined in to, on the live side of things in creating through that come around with us on the road. But, it is all done by ourselves. Like there's no label, there's no big management company who are bankrolling this. Like it's just us four and all of you lot, like all the fans and stuff. And that's what's beautiful about it, because you don't really see that happen a lot anymore. And to make that happen, you're against all the odds in this industry now. So I feel like we need a bit more of that across the board.
One of the things that I really like, obviously the Snuts started doing it for like their gigs, bringing out like a print for every gig, and I've seen that you have been doing that as well. So who does that? Who designs them? And whose idea was that? Because that's a cracking idea. See, people will buy them every gig and have them as a collection.
Yeah, they're done by our content creator Luke Jones, and I think the idea originated from Liam actually, to get all that done. But it's a good little piece, for people to take away from each night that happens.
Yeah, because everyone's different, so it's iconic.
Yeah. Well, like we kind of like doing that and creating bits of memorabilia for like each kind of step on the way. So there's not many fucking posters lying around in places around our house and that, like it's crazy.
And going on to the album then, so the album comes out next week, October the 24th, or I don't know, that's podcast will be Wednesday, so we'll see. The album's coming out a couple of days' time. A culmination of all your work, basically, all the way through In My Element, that's on it, right through taking stuff for your two EPs, and then there's 4 new songs on it. Obviously, I touched on White Lifeline. I touched on that earlier. But what can fans that have been into you expect for the other new songs?
I think each song is so different to the one that would have come before it on the record. Like we never really wanted to be like an artist that's like a one-trick pony. Like we've got a lot of influences that kind of make up our sound, and it so each song kind of writes itself in its own way. But I don't think there's anything solid I could say like that you can expect from it. It's just some songs will make you want to lose your head. Some songs will make you laugh. Like a couple of songs will make you cry. That's just what it'll intend. But you have to listen to it to like fully understand it, or maybe no one will understand it. You never know. Probably won't get it. But yeah, that's remains to be seen.
Oh, mate, it's a hat. It's an absolute hat, man. As I say, I've been listening to the last 3 or 4 weeks, and it's ingrained in my mind. I could fucking sing it off for you now, but I'm not the best on the vocals.
Mate, neither am I. So you can't do any worse than me.
So obviously, like this year, you've hammered the festivals, so like fucking you've been everywhere. So I'd imagine that's going to help fucking sales and all that. You're playing a gig tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, we're doing it. We just arrived here now. We're doing a run through the album for the first time ever. Just to, some of our biggest fans and that in Birmingham, just around the corner from where we all live. So yeah, it's going to be good. And then onto the tour after that.
So touring, what is it, November, December, is it?
We start we start with the in-stores from next Tuesday, promoting the record and that, and then we go into, the bigger UK tour from the 13th of November. So, it's just under a month now.
Yeah, massive tour, hundreds of dates on that, as you touched on, playing St Luke's in Glasgow, which, that's another venue I've never seen a bad gig in, just round the corner for the Barrowlands. What have you got, who's supporting on this tour?
We've got a local opener, they're not always local. We've got an opener every single night that varies. Just loads of our favourite artists, upcoming artists from up and down the country. But the main sport for our tour is a band called the Kairos from Liverpool.
Brilliant band, aye.
Yeah, they're spot on. They are. And then we've got the Lilacs who are supporting us in Birmingham at the homecoming gig. So the lineups are all pretty stacked, man. Even if you fucking hate us, mate, you'll like someone. You'll like someone on the lineup.
Well, that's it. When you've got that sort of lineup, it's got something for every day. I mean, I went to see the Raytons a couple of years ago, and they had Declan Welsh and the K's supporting them. You're like, what a fucking lineup for just a run of the mill gig.
Yeah, man. They've always picked good supports, them lads.
So, album, tour, what's the plans then for 2026? Just fucking heavy into festivals? Or
Yeah. Well, that's what it's going to be. We're going to follow up with a independent venue week tour at the end of January, and then the second half of our album tour in early spring of next year. So yeah, next year's probably, along with this year and next year, is the two biggest years of our lives, really. It's trying to make this, dream into reality. So yeah, you're gonna be sick of the fucking sight of us by the end of next year.
It must be fucking heavy duty in the liver as well, playing all these gigs. How do you manage that?
Yeah, you could probably say that. To be fair, I've had to kind of rein it in a little bit because the tours are quite taxing now. In terms of what you have to give every night and the string of dates together, and if you're out on the fucking piss every night, then you're letting people down the next day when you step on stage if you're struggling or you're hungover or you can't sing or whatever. So gone are the days of what we used to do as kids in going around the country getting absolutely plastered and walking onto stage the next day because you can't really get away with that anymore. Like I think I don't know how all the fucking Rolling Stones and that used to do it because fuck me.
Yeah.
Like, they must have been made of some serious fucking shit, man. Because I tell you what, if you go on a mad one for a couple of days and then have to play that third gig, like you feel it. But no, it's just a good balance, man. We pick our moments to go and have a party, and we pick them well. So.
Mm. Well, that's the thing. When you look at your tours, you always kind of end up finishing off in Birmingham and getting the perfect send off there. So, I mean, how much are you looking forward to that, the Birmingham show at the end of this tour?
Mate, it's been a dream for us since we started to headline the O2 Academy in Brum one day. It's probably the most. I mean, it's not the biggest venue in Birmingham, but it's one of the most illustrious for touring bands, and we actually played on it in a showcase when we were like 13 years old. 3 of us did, and we've got a video of it somewhere that we'll have to share with everyone. But to be going back there like just over 10 years later and headlining it ourselves on the just after our debut albums come out yeah, it's going to be a moment.
Yeah, it all sounds amazing, man. So, as I says, album at October 24th, next Friday. In-store gigs coming, and then tour November, December. Um, I'll post all the links to all the stuff for everybody, but everybody that's listening, check them out. Last part of the podcast, obviously, it's called Time for Heroes. I asked my guests to pick 4 heroes to come for dinner. Why are they your heroes, and what would you cook for them? They can be dead or alive. They can be any aspect of life, musicians, sports, film, whatever. So who's your 4 heroes?
I did see that you were going to ask this, so I've been trying to think, man. But when your mind just goes blank and you don't know, I think I definitely have Jim Morrison there, the singer from The Doors.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd make your head spin with some of the stuff that he'd say. I'd have Bob Marley there. I'd have Maradona there because I bet he was a fucking racket.
Yeah, I want to use music folk. I want to use rock stars. Pick Maradona because he's basically a football rock star, isn't
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, he's that photo of him and Liam Gallagher and Noel Gallagher's
he? Yeah.
iconic, and he was a bit of a fucking mad geezer. So yeah, I reckon he'd have a couple stories, and then I'll probably cook them all like, I don't know, probably cook them all like a fucking lasagna or something, and see what happens.
Brilliant. They're all amazing. Absolutely class time speaking to you, Dave Pearce. Enjoy your gig the night, and then enjoy album release and all this touring and all that that's coming after it. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a hit for you, man.
I hope,
Um,
I hope so, and nice one for the kind words and everything. Appreciate it.
yeah. All the best, man. And I'll speak to you soon.
You too, man. Might see you at the Glasgow gig in
Yeah.
so yeah, take care of yourself, mate.
Cheers, man. Thank
Good
you.
man. Good man. Nice to speak to you.
I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Time for Heroes podcast. If you would like to get in touch, the best way is on the Facebook page, Time for Heroes podcast, or on Instagram at Time for Heroes podcast, or Twitter at Time for Heroes P1, or drop me an email at timeforheroespod at gmail.com. You'll find Time for Heroes on all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Google and Amazon. Please leave a review where you can, share with others, and more importantly, enjoy.